Yeah.
So it's not like anything. I'm not going out to the garage to do any reading. My ISIS flag is not out there. That's in the house. But again, everyone's got their own thing, but it kind of just showcases one point. And then one thing, as I got to reach away here. So again, my platoon pictures and things like that aren't on my workbench either. Here's a classic. Boom. As I kind of I'm fighting the light here. The old Desert Storm. So there it is, 1505 out there I don't know where we found this grass field at, and I think that was in Saudi Arabia, if I remember right. I don't know if that was up in Iraq.
Could be.
I don't remember where it's at, but it's somewhere over there. But yeah, man. So that's a classic, platoon picture that. Yeah, man. So
yeah,
just some differences there, and I think kind of the last big one. I don't have any rifles kind of hanging up out there by my workbench.
Yeah.
And I've got a reloading press. I didn't, that was one thing I didn't notice. He didn't have a reloader out there.
Yeah.
So he must have some big, deep pockets to get his hand.
Yeah. I know.
So.
Yeah. So you're the same way as I. I don't have a ton of pictures and things that I'm afraid that it is going to get jacked up from me just being careless because I'm doing something, not paying attention. Like photos and books and things like that. But, the nice thing about, during the terminal list and that opening sequence is it shows those things. And guys who have a place like that in their house or their garage or in their shop downstairs, whatever it's located, we all know that it's filled with those things, those little things that mean something to us, that to anyone else, and everybody has those kind of things, but those type of collection areas seem to be the place where they end up for guys like you and me. If we do a lot of things out there, you got some spec books out there, you got some manuals if you're doing some work, modding up your stuff, changing batteries, whatever, spending time, got the music on. So one of the things I have out there, I've got two things I wanted to show that I thought were pretty cool. I'm sure guys that are old enough to remember these.
Yeah, buddy.
There's not a whole lot of security going on with your firearm, but yeah, man, the UM84 holster, patent pending when this came out. Yeah, but I keep that out there. I have that hanging up. I don't put anything in it. I just like to look at it every now and then. It means a lot to me. Able to keep that. And then another thing too, that is from my grandfather. That instead of putting, everybody's got those gun oil, the bottles, and you just chuck them, right? They get all messed up, so you just get rid of them. Well, I keep this bad boy out there, and instead of I have my gun oil in there.
Nice.
And I can't really date this, but I can tell you right now, it's probably late teens, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is probably 100 years old. Joan Jett was out there with the Black Heart's Poison, and it was just a great show. The show was good. It was a lot of fun. And it really took me back to my youth and demonstrated why I went to live shows. They sounded really good. Now, think about that for a second. How many times, and this is a fair question, how many times does that happen? When you've talked to your kids about how awesome the concerts were that you went to, and these guys, they put on these amazing shows, and they had girls dancing, and they were singing backup, and they had explosions and lasers. And you actually get to show your kids what you're talking about. They get to see it firsthand. Instead of listening to the old man stories, they actually get to experience it themselves. Am I right? They've heard Dad talk about it for years. Now they get to go see it. It was unbelievable. It was a rock and roll concert. Joan Jett played a real good set, sounded great. Back then you got it all at a show. And that's a little bit lacking, a little bit of theater. Alice Cooper, he was basically a modern day vaudeville. with all the antics he did on stage. He has a big Frankenstein running around when he played his Frankenstein song. The whole place looked like Frankenstein's castle, his lab. Unbelievable. You know, the music, the clothes, the laser lights, the pyrotechnics. They even had these big dragons. They'd be spitting fire. It was unbelievable. It's showbiz. And that's exactly what it is. You got the whole ball of wax. Alice Cooper used to say, you used to get the Disney e-ticket, the everything ticket. You got the show, the music, the lights, the interaction. Paul Stanley said, you know, some people are ham. He's the whole pig for Kiss. But they had a great, great night. Now, along those lines, we're talking about live music, how much I love it, and how when I first heard that Kiss Alive 2 record, that it drew me to concerts because the music was so good. And these guys are talented. Folks who are doing music, acting, whatever, they're performers, they are good. Or we wouldn't be talking about them if they couldn't play. And if their songwriting sucked, we wouldn't even be talking about them. Now, you can get along for a little while with a stick. Everybody wants to see it, but then it's over, right? These guys have been doing it for 4 decades. And they still sound pretty damn good. Now, these bands are iconic figures. Have they lost a step musically? Yes. Are they getting up there in age and the energy's not quite there that they could perform? Yes. But I saw a lot of articles coming out. I started searching out just to see how some of the shows and what people were saying about it, what to expect. I've seen them multiple times, all those bands except for Joan Jett. That was the first time. And I heard a lot of things coming out. A lot of things coming out that a lot of these bands were using some modern day technology, mainly backing tracks. Some of these guys can't hit those high notes as well as they can all the time. They just can't. So they use backing tracks for things such as that. A little bit of background singing. Sometimes they fill in with the background tracks for the background singing. So it takes some of the burden off of their voice because they are getting up there in age. Some of them are over 60 years old in Motley Crue. And the articles were saying, hey, man, I feel duped. This is what I paid for. I want my money back. It's not live rock and roll. I paid to see live rock and roll. And it was obvious that some backing tracks were being used. They had now, Motley Crue had some girls on stage that were singing some of the background vocals, and that was obviously, again, to take some of the burden off of Vince Neil. But Vince Neil was singing live, to be fair to him. He was singing live. Now, my understanding is this technology is so good now that some of the music is a track. So many of the pieces of the music may actually be a recording, a backtrack.
They want to sit there and make a medical choice amendment. Okay, cool. But then you can't sit there and go, hey, take this poison. Hey, do this. Nope. So if you want to do that, I'm fine with that. But that's just Rick trying to give you some info so that you're better educated to understand the crap these people are putting out there. You know, we want to talk about the federal government and their power. How about the federal government gives security to the American people? So why wouldn't we secure our southern border and quit all these illegals from coming in? Why don't we quit all this fentanyl that's coming in from China, who knows is killing our citizens? Why don't we do something about that? Oh, we don't bat an eye. It's funny. Again, I'll refer back to the Constitution because we want to talk about these constitutional violations. And I'm going to switch over to the 13th. So if you guys aren't familiar with the 13th Amendment, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except where punishable for a crime, therefore the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist in the United States or any place subject to its jurisdiction. So constitutional violation of slavery. Yet how many people are humanly trafficked in this country? And we don't bat an eye. That's a constitutional violation. I'm baffled why we pick and choose these areas. I'm baffled why we've got these political parties that are hell bent on causing division in this country over some set of rules. You're there to represent the people, your constituents that voted you in office. You're not there to get rich, although all seems they do. You're not there for your own personal agenda. Now, you can have your values, don't get me wrong, and that's part why people are there. But at the end of the day, we should be getting regular check-ins from our politicians. They should be sending out polls. Hey, man, what do you think about this? I'm getting ready to vote on that. You've got by X amount of date to give me some type of response, and hey, the biggest tally tick will vote. It kills me because I'm going to call people out as they are. Listen here, Governor Cooper, state of North Carolina. So old Coop's a Dem, and he won't get off his soapbox because he's a Democrat, all this anti-gun legislation stuff. So here it is, the state of North Carolina tries to remove old Jim Crow laws off the books because, again, number one, they were Jim Crow laws. Number two, they infringed on people's Second Amendment rights. What's Coop do? Vetoes it. Now, he'll try to use the excuse of, I'm trying to protect the people. Well, we've got the right to carry concealed firearms here, but you didn't think it'd be a good idea to remove Jim Crow laws off the books. Interesting, Coop. Then you got old Tom Tillis. We as a state, and again, it's important because I go state, right? Because I fully believe in states' rights, 100%. So we as citizens of the state of North Carolina, years back, voted on the definition of marriage. And we said the definition of marriage was between a man and a woman. Well, now all of a sudden, Tillis is up there with the rest of the feds going, we're going to get federally involved. Whoa. We voted as a state. And next, everything's being turned over by the federal government. We don't want the federal government involved. The federal government should do this. The federal government should provide security for this great nation, but they don't. The federal government should be harsh on the illegal drugs coming into this country, killing our citizens. They're not. The federal government should be hunting down